Hey, what's good, friends? Welcome back to the hangout spot here at the Global Game Jam. I'm F. Dot still, and now I've got a whole bunch of friends here. They're repping New Jersey, NJIT, the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Glad to have you guys here. I want to give you guys a chance to kind of introduce yourselves. Let's go from the top right. The floor is yours. Hello, how are you?
Oh, that's me up there. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a professor in the School of Art and Design here at NJIT, and I'm holding a Slytherin house pen. Yes, I make all of my students find out what house they're in. Kaylen will be able to vouch for me there, and yeah, I do a lot of the storyboarding and character design classes, and it's a lot of fun. So it'll be a fun night. It'll be a fun weekend.
Nice. Awesome. Looks like we have a new friend. Hi. Hello. Welcome. How are you? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Patricia Padalin-Jug. I'm a second year at NJ. This is my first Global Game Jam, so I don't have much to say, but I am excited.
Awesome. Bottom left.
I'm also on my first Global Game Jam, and I'm a student, third-year student, and I study special effects and simulations.
What's your name?
Oh, sorry, Max Haffen.
Awesome, Max. Nice to meet you, bud. And then finally, in the green.
I'm Kaylen Wittmeyer. I'm a fourth-year digital design student at NJIT, and this is my third Global Game Jam. And I am also president of NJIT SIGGRAPH, which helped organize Global Game Jam this year.
Oh, that's cool. I'm definitely going to come back full circle for the organization stuff. But I think this is really fun because we have a professor here who, Jessica, I assume you've seen kind of this once or twice. We've got Kaylen, who fourth year, and then a couple of people who first game jam type deal. So let's start from kind of the bottom here. I'm going to go to you, Max, first. All right, never been to a game jam. What are your thoughts beforehand? What are you anticipating?
What I want to get out of it is just to be able to go in and create cool art assets, 3D assets, drawings, that kind of stuff for people who want to make games and be a part of it and see where it goes.
Sweet. Yeah, these types of things are awesome and a lot of fun for that. You specialize in special effects. Patricia, we just, I think, lost. Excellent timing. So you, Max rocks a lot with the special effects. Kaylen, what's your sort of area of expertise, if you will, if you have one?
So I kind of do a little bit of everything, but for Game Jam, I like to focus on making 3D assets, characters, or environment objects. And I'm also very interested in storyboarding or story writing. So in the past, I've helped craft the lore of our games that we've made, which is my favorite part personally.
Building
Yeah.
the world beyond the world for sure. Then
Oh
welcome back,
yeah.
Patricia. I was asking kind of Max, it's his first shot at a game jam. You too as well, your first global game jam. What are you kind of like, what were you thinking about coming into this? What are you kind of anticipating beforehand everything started?
So I guess I'm just looking for experience mostly. My favorite thing to do is has to do with characters and character design. So I'm hoping I can find someone who's looking for that this game jam and help them with their characters and models or illustrations, because I do both 2D and 3D, so I'm just wondering where I'll fit in. Still a mystery.
That's sick. I've gotten a chance to over the weekend to speak to a number of different designers, developers, etc. And a lot of them spoke about both experiences, coming in with a team and a squad and figuring it all out, and then also just hey, it's me, I'm at PAX and I'm here to meet friends, and then wandering around figuring out how to fit in. Jessica, you have been to a couple, obviously as a professor. I'm sure connecting these dots are a part of what you do here, whether physically or just in theory. Talk to us a little bit about how people from different disciplines can kind of match up in a global game jam.
Well, actually, yeah, I started. This is not my first rodeo. I've been going to game jams since actually in my first game jam here at NJIT, like I don't know, 8 years ago. And my husband was teaching in the computing side of NJIT. Um, and he said, "Oh, game jam's fun. My wife is an artist, so I'll bring her." And I started helping out all of the IT kids with their art and all that kind of stuff. And it was a great experience for me because I got to see my artwork being used for like a real application to be put in a game. That was really awesome. And then for the IT kids, they were like, "Oh wow, someone can draw our thoughts. That's really cool." Because usually we're just like, "This is just madness in here, and no one sees it." And yeah, so since then, it's teaching here, and it's been a lot of fun trying to connect the IT students with the design students, um, and just kind of show each other like how perfect it is. It's like two different halves of the brain. Like, hey, you guys can actually make a game if you know, combine your skills. So, yeah, that's for me. That's the fun part of Game Jam is kind of connecting people of different disciplines, even writers. We have a humanities department. A lot of people who love to write stories and develop characters and stuff. All of that, really, almost any discipline could really have fun with the Game Jam.
Yeah, no, I think I'm very proud. I used to do a little bit of game design at a medium-sized studio, and I was always very proud of our team because there was one guy with a game design degree, and then theology degree, art history degree, philosophy degree. I played in a rock band. Like, the idea of like having a specific discipline. Gaming is multifaceted. It's mixed media. And that's a big deal. That's what makes weekends like this so much fun. And so, Kaylen, you've been to, I think you mentioned like 3 separate game jams. You come in with your specific focus. Right. And how do you kind of like meet up with other people and like find how did you kind of do it before year 1 and 2?
So it was the first year that I ever started making like digital art I thought was applicable to games. And I knew that NJIT was a game jam site, and SIGGRAPH, the organization that I had recently just joined at that point, was helping host it, and everybody's like, "Oh, you have to come, it's so much fun." And I'm like, "I know nothing about games, but okay, sure, I'll come." And we showed up, and that year the theme was home. And I had no intention of joining a team. I had no idea what to expect. I was like very timid and very nervous getting into it. But everybody's getting up and speaking, and the presentation was like so exciting. And I was like, wait, maybe I do want to do something. And me and a couple of my friends who also were like, you know what, we have too much work this weekend, we can't do it. We're just here for fun. We all started pitching kind of joke ideas to each other as to like what the game could be, like totally not taking it seriously. And we finally landed on if there's a parasite inside someone trying to get to their heart, because home is where the heart is. And then we were like, "Oh my God, no, we have to make this together." And it was my first semester working in 3D. And so I was like, I can't do anything. Like, I don't know what to do. But over the weekend, I made the environment for the game, and we mapped it out. We came up with the silly story of like which teammate intestines we were in. And like throughout that weekend I learned so much, and those 3 people that I worked with became some of my best friends after that. And they were all 3 of them were upperclassmen, so they kind of like helped me through what was going on, and they explained it. We had someone who could code, we had someone who could kind of like put everything into Unreal, we had an animator, and so they kind of like walked me through the process of everything, and we're like, no, like no matter what you make, we're just here to have fun. Like, we didn't think we were gonna do it, we're happy to have you. And not only were we thrilled with our game, I still have it on my computer. It was like one of the best experiences, especially even early in college where I didn't have that confidence yet. And then throughout the weekend, I feel like I grew as a designer so much just because like we buckled down, we got as much pizza as we could, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do this. And so that was when I knew that Game Jam was definitely something really special.
Yeah, you get like this kind of unique experience where, like you
Yeah.
said, you kind of went in like, I don't really know if I want to do this, and here you're at number 3. So I
Yep.
think that kind of, yeah, I hear a lot of similar stuff from a lot of people, and you know, I want to cycle back here to Max and Patricia. You know, you guys, when I asked you first, you mentioned a lot of like physical, tangible, like perhaps the right answer. You know, I want to learn and develop my skills and become a better designer and developer. Sure, but like, have you spoken to anybody that has gone to Global Game Jam? Have you heard any of the stories, and like, what else are you looking forward to outside of just like, you know, what you're supposed to say?
I'd have to say from people I've talked to, they pull a lot of all-nighters working straight through the night, and they just order and hoard a bunch of food, and they just sit down and they get to it, you know? And, you know, seems like fun.
Just the all-in approach kind of attract you as well, Patricia?
Yeah, I'm mostly going in blind, and I guess that's like the fun part for me, just seeing where the wind takes me, basically. Yeah.
That's the fun part. You know, there's a lot of different things, and as game designers, we talk a lot about like constraints and allowing the player to be creative, and the Global Game Jam kind of does that for us as well. They don't just say, all right, make a game. There's we have diversifiers, and of course our overall topic, our theme, which is this year is lost and found. And so are we all on one team? Is NJIT kind of doing a team, or are you guys off in your own directions this year?
So we all listened to the keynote, and now we've split into different groups, and we're attacking it from different angles, and then we're gonna, if you like the idea of this group, go and join it, and if everyone likes that idea, then everyone's gonna join it. But usually
they all kind of start
smaller
pitching
groups.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, last I checked, we're in the pitching stage. So part of the setup for this was we made a giant Discord channel for everybody. And we have a channel to introduce yourself, like your skills, who you are. You can like tag yourself with if you're a designer, programmer, all of the above. And now currently the idea pitches channel is blowing up with everybody pitching their ideas, and you can respond to people and be like, oh my God, I want to join your team. So it looks like everybody's kind of doing separate teams. My plan this year was to do be a freelance artist and work on whatever anybody needs. Try and get my hand in a couple different games. But yeah, no, I don't think we have a set NJIT team this year. Although usually there is like 1 or 2 teams that come in and are like, we're working together and we're working on this, which is always really cool to see.
Last throughout the whole weekend.
Yes.
Kind of like survival of the fittest. See what teams are still, surviving by Sunday. So, and those are the NJIT teams.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting. So NJIT in general has the Discord. Jessica, is it like a professor-driven thing, or is it a student-driven thing with respect to like the Game Jam stuff?
Oh, that's almost all student. Like I'm there like kind of like fly on the wall, at first. And I might have a favorite pitch, but I kind of keep it like a little bit of a secret. And then I just sort of float around, and I'm like, hey, this person's like, I don't understand how to visualize this, and I'll just kind of sketch that out. And then usually I let the students try to like take the lead, but certain things, if I'm getting a lot of students who are like, if there's one group who doesn't have any artists, I'll jump over there, and then I'll kind of end up being that little freelance concept artist for a couple days. So
it's fun.
Yeah.
Able to kind of like, oversee and kind of help everybody. That totally makes sense. And I think that's probably like, especially for something like a game jam where like, I don't want my professor here all the time over my shoulder, but like you are the smartest person in the room, quotes unquote. You're the instructor. So like, yeah, I want help here, but like, don't, it's not homework. Leave me alone. So like,
I make him feel like it's homework. I'm drill sergeant. Like, what are you doing? That's like your 7th slice of pizza in an hour. There's get some work going. Come on, it's going to reflect your grade. So. I try my
see
best.
that, actually.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. The Slytherin makes
Yeah.
sense at this point. So
I took the test 5 times and I got the same results. Kaylen knows all about it. I cry about it during class
It was
all
a
the
very
time.
emotional semester. Yeah.
Very, very, very sensitive subject. So,
well, I like we've come to fully embrace it, and I think that's the real 2020 plus, right? Because we're just a new game plus at this point. So I'm here for the energy for sure. But let's talk a little bit. Let's jump back into more specifically the Lost and Found. I want to explore the creative side of things. We talked a little bit about, we all have different disciplines around the table, but yeah, let's use the creative part. Let's just go around, and I'll start with Patricia here. If you're leading a team right now, and I need you to hand in your thesis, what's your Lost and Found? What's your game? Go.
I feel like I would just let's see. Definitely, I would probably keep it like whatever environment it is, probably just like a very small one, and probably really dive in and have you look for something, whatever that is, and then I'd have you interact with all the items in there, and maybe there's a secret ending somewhere if you find a right item, and I wonder if you could find different items in them. Yeah.
Cool. So a narrative approach. Yeah, for sure. That's a lot of fun. That's definitely one angle to go from. And that makes sense, given your character design background. I always like to see, where our mens rea is, where we come from, right? And so you immediately went to narrative as a character designer. That makes sense. That's exactly where your background is. Max, I'm interested. Where would you go with Lost and Found?
All right. So I got a brief from one of the professors, kind of went over what their interpretation was. They made a slideshow. It was really cool. But pulling from what they said, I'm very interested in the correlation of Lost and Found to the current stock market situation. I think that there's definitely some people losing things and other people finding excellent things. And I think that you could absolutely create some kind of stock market thing where some people are putting in on this area and then losing points and they're finding it somewhere else and something like that.
I like that. This is a bit of a stretch, but the special effects guy goes for an explosive moment in the stock market. Yeah, can we go with that? I'm going to pretend it works.
Yeah.
All right. And then Kaylen, where would you wind up if you weren't such a freelancer and you were wearing the big hat? What are you thinking?
So I think I definitely attack things from the story standpoint first. I definitely come from okay, Lost and Found, how weird can we make this?
Love it.
And my first thing goes to what cool assets can I make along with that? I definitely agree with Patricia. If you're making something really quickly, it has to be small and manageable. And so I was kind of thinking something like a little dog running around and trying to find bones, or trying to literally a go around and find things game, but with traps or something around. Just a really fun environment where I can make interesting props and characters and texture things to look really neat. But try and have some type of backstory to draw people in, oh, come play my game. Yeah. You'll find yourself in my game.
Oh, okay. All right. There's the tagline. You tried to sell it to me as narrative based, but you kept kind of showing your hand of I want to make cute things for people. You're an artist. You're a visual artist for sure. I'm already seeing the dog jump around absolutely. And Jessica, you're out here making sure everybody's doing it. Let's pretend you're back old school style game jamming. Where are you taking Lost and Found?
first thing I thought of was the past year and even this year, and people losing their minds, just literally just losing their minds. What if people were able to actually see the process of someone's minds just falling out of their head as they're walking around, and just visually that might be that would help me understand the recent events a lot better. Maybe you have to go around and collect all these little holographic brains and give them back to people like, oh, here you go. Here's wear the mask. No, wear it. Here you go. And then
And that's
I don't know, something like that. Lost and found.
like,
Oh, it is. Oh, you shouldn't wear a mask with a hole in it. Here's your mind. That kind of thing. Like a little
that
educational thing. Yeah.
that's something that I think is so cool about, like, at least because I can only attack things from the art side. I don't have really any experience with the programming side of making a game. But from the art side, like taking that pitch, it's like, depending on what artists you can gather on your team, if you don't already have someone, like it can be this like creepy black and white kind of not gory, but like
Yes.
unnerving, like your brains are falling out, or it could be like Pixar soul, glowy, warm, abstract shapes are floating around, like, and I just think that's so cool because like you never know what you're gonna end up with. It's just like
Yeah.
you're making it up as you go along, and it just
Maybe
turns out
some
cool no
people's
matter what
brain,
it
maybe
is.
some people's minds are really weird looking. Like, mine would be like spiky and weird and yeah. And then other people's, like yours, would be like the shape of like a cute happy puppy, and like
It's like perfectly origami, just absolutely excellently
Yeah.
done. Mine's just sort of like crumpled
Yeah.
and ripped on the corner. Like
that's I'm in that camp, and that's how you kind of match the mind, to the missing person.
Yeah.
I like it. Very,
Yeah.
very like Kafka-esque, very Dali-esque. I actually immediately went to Disco Elysium is where my brain went as far as like art direction, like kind of like gloomy, but not like Eli Valley in like the like depths of
Yeah.
scary. Just kind of like ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. And like
Little bit.
one of the cool things I always enjoy when it comes to like designing games is the intersection of disciplines and Kaylen's bringing up like how different artists might interpret it, but on the back end you're programmers and you're like the people that are manipulating the environments and the engines and stuff. There's also an art to that technology, so to speak, about like how when we were I have character design experience in like MOBA, and we're like, okay, this guy needs to stop a player from moving. Well, that means either a stun, maybe it's a backwards vortex, maybe it's a time stop, right? There's so many different ways, and we don't think about that as like art, but that's absolutely, a type of expression. Kaylen, you've been here to a couple of game jams. One of the fun things about game jams is that we don't have to be in our office and think about bottom lines. We can actually just be creatives making a game for the sake of being a game. And so you see some weird stuff. What's some of the weirder, any weird games come to mind from your first or second game jam that you've been to that you can bring up?
I really enjoyed my first game jam just because with Home we had like this one visual novel that was about like a girl moving and trying to find, and it was like so touching and the art was gorgeous. It was like all 2D hand drawn art, and I have no idea how they did everything in like 3 days. The amount of stuff that they got done was insane. And it was so beautiful, and it was like really heart touching. And then there was someone who had lost their keys to their house, and it was like a platformer, and it was so hard in the best way, like still very doable. It was hard on purpose, clearly, but it was so much fun. There's like the line out the door to play that game that year. If everyone wanted to try and get home because they lost their keys, and jumping from the platform, it was so much fun. And then with I think our game was one of the weirder ones. We had a lot of people come up to us and be like, I have no idea where you took that from. Because we designed like, so the parasite inside you was like this glowing alien mech thing that kind of swam, and then we like designed your intestines with like watercolors, but like dark gloomy watercolor kind of. And then we had like meatballs as your dinner bouncing around as the obstacles as the parasite tries to like go up to your heart. It was really weird. I have no idea where we got it from, and I think it was because all of us were like, well, we weren't really planning on doing this anyway, so let's just like see where it goes. But it was so much fun, and we got a lot of really fun comments, and we had like original music because we had a composer, and like people were like, this is I don't get it, but I'm really glad that I've played this. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love the different interpretations of the theme. Like, oh yeah, no, I think it's very fun.
Jessica, as somebody else that's been to a number of game jams and things like this, what are some of the more esoteric examples when the boundaries are out for designers that you can think of?
Let me see. I remember one of the themes that I saw everybody struggling the most with was just heartbeat. That was the theme. And I mean, a lot of students were like, I have no, like, I don't know where to go from there. I mean, I could do like a horror thing, but everyone's going to do a horror thing. And somebody came up with, I thought it was genius. It was like a top-down 2D view, and you were in a office with a bunch of cubicles, and you had to avoid your boss. Okay, so like, and like something about your heart rate. Oh yeah, you had to keep drinking coffee to keep your heart rate from going completely down and just like flatlining. But it couldn't get too high because then you would explode. And you would have to go to the bathroom often to pee because you're drinking so much coffee, but you had to like avoid your boss. It was like a Pac-Man type of like situation.
Okay.
That's brilliant. And then the boss, if he encountered you, he would just start going blah blah blah, and you know, it was like Pac-Man-y graphics. And he had like a thigh, and it was great. That was very creative, very out there. Loved it. That was years ago, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, that was, I think the prompts or the themes for global game jams are always really fun. That heartbeat one has been brought up a number of times. And, again, interpretation seems to be kind of the sub theme of our conversation. Two people that I've spoken to over the weekend, heartbeat. One person made a love game, like a love story game, which, heartbeat, heart, etc. And the other made a superhero-esque thing where you travel via echolocation. The guy was blind and the heartbeat directed you around. So two very different ideas.
Cool.
You know, and like and both of them, you can obviously like, all right, love story, ready, set, go. You can do whatever you want with character design development. And then on the other side, the creativity with respect to like mechanics there, like how interesting is that echolocation, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of fun. And I think that's really interesting being able to like, again, looking at some people that have been in the industry post-college and then come back, that's a way to kind of like get back in that like, we learn good and bad habits as we go to big studios, right? And sometimes, learning to put your colored pencils in the pencil box takes away some of your creativity. And coming to Global Game Jam, you get a little bit of that back. So it's kind of fun kind of being here in this moment. Max and Patricia, your first kind of go here. Are you excited to just, no grades, no bosses, no nothing, just like, let's do it. Let's have some fun. Are you excited to see where you can go?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like put it out there, and you're not getting a grade, but people are gonna see what you do, and maybe they like it, maybe they don't. But it's you get to go your own way, and it's all up to you. You're not pinching the creativity just because you can get the grade doing this one thing, but you're not sure if it's gonna work if you go this other way.
Same here. I'm mostly excited to collaborate with other people because although I get like art assignments in school, it's mostly you're solo. So I'd love to like combine ideas and see what happens. Very exciting for that.
That's a big deal. That's actually a really big deal. That so like I said, I mean, I didn't go to game design school or school in general. Don't be like me, kids. But like the idea of game development is completely collaborative. I've been lucky enough to be in the industry for a number of years now, almost a decade, and I've been wearing the developer hat for 5+ years. And there's not a moment like yeah, we'll go back to our desk and like, scratch our heads and look into but like really it's all a collaborative effort, in order to, we've designed this great character and programming goes, are you insane? We'll never do that. We're using Unreal 3. You're crazy. Right. And it says, I didn't know that. Right. And so interacting and interfacing is a big deal. Not just like knowing how to work with people, which is kind of like, human 101, but the idea of, and I find sometimes this is an issue in studios, people from different disciplines being able to communicate to each other, having the art person explain to the programmer why this shade is important and vice versa. And that sort of stuff is interesting. Jessica, from a like academic standpoint, is that ever a part of like the curriculum, whether you teach it or not? Is that like a part of like going to school for game design? Do we ever talk about how to express your discipline?
That's something that I think we're really trying to do a lot more of for the very reason that, like me, I could relate, art student. I was like, oh, I just want to work by myself. I don't need anyone. I just work by myself, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, that's not how it works. And so we have a lot more collaborative courses going on. Like I said before, my husband works over in the computing college, so we try any opportunity we can to have some kind of collaborative projects going on, where we'll have to have like a design student and an IT student paired together and work on some kind of something, usually a game. Mm-hmm. And at first, it's kind of like they're speaking two completely different languages. It's like I have to be the translator, and it's like, oh, wait, okay, so it doesn't take you an hour to do a character? That's insane. It takes time to build a character rig or even come up with a concept. That's nuts. And then the design students have to learn, like, okay, the IT students and just programming in general, it takes time. It's not magic. What you're asking is insane. So we need to draw it back a little bit. So yeah, learning how to communicate your discipline to someone else who does not know your discipline at all, that's a whole skill. That is like probably one of the most important things that these students will leave college with, because that's tough. But it's fun. It pays off when I finally get it. So yeah,
I think that's exactly what Global Game Jam is about. When it comes to game design, like, sure, if you are a specific skeleton rigger, that's all you do. Like, yeah, maybe you can sit in your cave and do your thing, but rare is that actually the case in the real world. Everybody kind of has to go back and forth, and you might not be wearing multiple hats, but you have to at least understand them. And I find that a lot of my, friends that are full-fledged designers full-time, they'll do a project, and I'll say, these 3 things are really cool. Where did you get the idea or the knowledge to do that? And they're like, 7th grade math class, this one time at PAX and last week at the bar. And it's all you pull from different aspects of your life to create a game and do something like that. And so when we talk about our experiences in school when it comes to game design, Global Game Jam is absolutely super important to our ability to grow as designers, grow as developers, not just on the field, but also backstage, so to speak, after the game jam, sitting, whether it's in the bar or the hotel lobby. This year, Discords and different Twitch chats, of course, here we are, haha. But that's where a lot of the conversations are made. I hear a lot of conversations about, college students talking about networking and how important it is and how they don't want to do it because it's very LinkedIn. But at the end of the day, if you go to Global Game Jam, that's what networking is. Kaylen, you were talking about some of these lasting relationships that you've made just kind of coming to a couple of game jams.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and even outside of people that I've worked with, we have our SIGGRAPH organization also worked with our IGDA, International Game Developers Association.
Yep.
Yeah, we have both on campus, so the two eBoards work together to set up Game Jam every year. And so even just like getting to know people in IGDA, when everyone in the design field tends to be in SIGGRAPH or one organization, and then everyone in IT and CS is in IGDA, like even just that, it's like after that we then had classes together, and we then had like projects to do together, and whenever we had a studio where we needed something, like you suddenly have these people that you can reach out to. And I know that then that lasts even beyond school, where like I know composers for games, I know people who can code, I know people that can like explain exactly why a game is fun. Like, why do you enjoy playing this game?
Huge.
And it's just, it's so great because I know that without an experience like game jam, we wouldn't necessarily have those interactions, and I feel like I would be missing this whole side now of how I think as a designer, just because like opening up my mind to like starting to think about like someone interacting with your work and how it's received is very different from how we usually attack it from design. And so even just trying to understand that mindset and like talking to those people regularly in class or at game jams or side projects is like, it's so amazing.
That's so super real. Like that's exactly what gets me excited about Global Game Jam. Those sort of like connections and stuff like that. And Jessica, you were talking about how NJIT has a hand in sort of like running or organizing some of the stuff here at Global Game Jam. Can you expand a little bit there in what you and everybody kind of does there?
So yeah, sure. So usually, you know, when we know that it's coming up, there's some communication between the design school and the IT school starts. So it's kind of like, all right, who wants to do opening statements? Let's make sure that we have good enough facilities for the students to take advantage of. My school has all of the animation labs, and we have touchscreen Cintiqs. So we try to coordinate with the rest of the university to be like, okay, can students have access to these labs? If so, when? Is there going to be security there? And then the IT college has a VR space. They have a couple of VR rigs, and that's a lot of fun. So it's really, it's a matter of like sharing resources and trying to figure out how to really just try to work as like one cohesive college, really like one cohesive university, because we have a bunch of, you know, we got a lot of schools in this one place. So it's a very big collaborative effort, even on the faculty side, even on the organization side, to make sure that everyone really gets the most out of the next couple of days. I mean, of course, we can't do that now, but that's how it would normally work. Yeah.
The passion is there, and that's super important. And like, don't we're having fun, but don't count yourself short for this year. Like a number of people are, it's sick. We're still doing it, right? It's just online gaming. We trudge forward, but I know a lot of people have to be, thankful for that. And we have two first year game jam students here. I want to end and ask you two separate questions. Patricia, I want to go to you for game jam experience. It's your first time. You've obviously not jumped in all the way, but you're chilling. You're here. What would you say to people that are kind of thinking about doing game jam that haven't done it in the past? What made you kind of say, okay, this is what I want to do? And do you have words for those people?
I thought, so I guess I jumped, I'm in the SIGGRAPH Discord, with them, and I saw the announcement one day, and I figured, that's, a weekend or a studio project was due, so I might as well, try something new while I have the time. And so I just took the jump, and I think, now I would say you should definitely try it out, because there's a lot of people in this Discord and a lot of friends to make. And already I was looking at the ideas that are already in that chat, and there are some really cool concepts there. So I think to have this experience of working with a team and building a portfolio, especially making friends in the long term, is definitely worth coming to Game Jam for.
That's huge. Great, a resounding bell ring there for the game jam for sure. The Friends is, I hate to sound corny, but the Friends is like the biggest deal in all honesty. Like, not just because like you guys can be chummy and have fun, but like later on you'll call them for a favor and they'll be able to remember you. So that's a big deal in the industry. Trust me. That's all life is filling your Rolodex. That's 75% of life. But and then Max, I want to come to you because one of my favorite things about game design is that it's a new and emerging world. It's esoteric, it's artistic, and I don't necessarily think that like you need to come from a specific background in order to jump in. But if you do decide to go to school for game design, I mean NJIT seems to have this fantastic program. What can you say about opting into a game design sort of academia, and like why was this the right choice for you to go to college for games?
So I think that it was the right choice because of just the passion and the like you need to want to do it because it's a lot more work than a business degree. It's you gotta like
Facts.
if it is what you want to do and it'll make you happy for the rest of your life doing your job, like then in my opinion then there's nothing that'll compare to it, and that's what does it for me.
That's sick. That's yeah, it keeps going that way in once you get a job too. It's a little bit harder than a regular business TPS report job. But you go home at 8 instead of 6, but you're making a cool game instead of just, beating up the copy machine. So I feel that. I really do feel that. It's setting yourself up for the future. It sounds like, NJIT provides you guys with a fantastic amount of resources. Things like this, are huge. And honestly, having people like Jessica involved is gigantic. You really can't put a price on passion, let alone passion from somebody that's kind of teaching you, right? Trickle down doesn't work for economics, but it absolutely works for passion.
No.
And I think Jessica's got a lot of that. And I think it absolutely shows in the student body. So I think that's awesome. It's been a fun time having you guys here. Anybody want to shout anything out before we, turn everything off or otherwise? Or
Just make those games. Just dive right in. It's so fun. It's so worth it.
Watch your pizza intake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get some pixie sticks too.
I was about to say, like, order your pizza now and you'll have it all night. Like,
there's the
Perfect.
pizza.
There she goes. She's got it. She's got it figured out. Mm-hmm.
It's all about pizza and passion and people here at the Global Game Jam. A lot of fun for sure. But on a serious note, thank you guys for hanging out. It's been really cool this whole weekend. We got a chance to talk to developers. We got a chance to talk to sponsors with engines. We got a chance to talk to students, their first shot and not at all their first shot. So very cool kind of seeing all sides of the game jam and then some. I implore you guys to get involved and be a part of these communities because that's exactly what we are. We're communities, and we all come together for the same stuff. Just having fun. So that's going to do it for us here. Keep on jamming, and we'll see you in the future. That's it. We'll catch you next time. Peace and much love to you.
All right.
thank you.
Bye. Thank you.